Welcome everybody to the Attract and Stand Out show. I am so excited today to introduce you guys to Alli McAuley. She is an emerging entrepreneur who creates a standout brand and website so they can run a successful business online. Her goal is to make changes happen for other go-getters in pursuit of living their dream life by doing what they love. Alli, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you today. As we get started, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you live and how you came onto this entrepreneur journey.
Yeah. So my name's Alli McAuley, as you said, and I live outside of Rochester, New York. I live on an old farm. So we're kind of out like 40 minutes outside of the city, and I work from home. And so it's really convenient to be able to be wherever I am. And here we are out in the country. And I started after design school working in a design studio down in Baltimore. And while I was there, I was doing mostly print design. And my boss wanted to be able to offer web design as a solution for clients as that became a bigger thing. When everyone started needing websites, and that was about like 2007, 2008, we started kind of diving into that. So I started teaching myself how to design and develop websites. And so that's kind of what got me started on this path. I decided to go out on my own when things were kind of falling apart and he was laying people off, and I had an opportunity to move up to this area. And I started my own business, and that was in 2009. So when I started, it was mostly print that I was still doing, and I was slowly doing more and more web and doing more of that and loving more of that. So I've kind of last year decided to niche down and really just dive into just doing branding and websites. So that's where I'm at now.
What was, talk about a little bit about that pivot for you. What was it that made you niche down so specifically?
Yeah, I think it was a matter of walking my talk. You know, I tell all the clients to do that. And I was still operating under the idea that I can do anything, right? Like I can do any design work. So what do you need? And I can help you, but not being very specific. And I was doing a lot more freelance for other design firms. And I wanted to start doing more business for myself, not through other design firms, not doing so much freelance, just running my own business. And so when I really made that decision that I wanted to get more work on my own, I said I have to be more specific about what I'm doing and who I help. So that kind of led me down the path.
I love that you shared that because that's exactly my story as well. When I started as a business coach, I was like, oh my gosh, I can help everybody. I can help all types of businesses. And I was getting clients and they were from every single different random industry possible. And I kept asking myself, I'm like, I'm attracting these people, not as many as I'd like. And they're all from different industries. And I had that moment where it was like a big aha, like 2 years into my business where I was like, I need to niche down. I was like, that would make life so much easier. But it took me a good 2 years before I did it. And I was just like you. It was where like I was telling other people to do it. And I was very clear on how to work with them and on doing that for them. But for some reason, I had never sat down and like did the work for myself to get super clear with who I actually wanted to work with, where my heart was at, where my passion was. And once I did that, it was like the light bulb went off and I'm like, oh, like this is so much easier to message now and do my marketing. And I can specifically talk to my ideal client and my specific niche and not talking to everybody, because when you're talking to everybody too, like you're not really attracting the people that you're trying to attract aren't really listening because they feel like you're not talking directly to them.
Right. Exactly. It sounds so similar. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it changed everything in my business for me too. And I was like, marketing became so easy. Like you're saying, I just knew exactly what I wanted to say and who it was talking to. It was amazingly different.
It's so funny that like this happens to so many people on the entrepreneur journey. For whatever reason, we think that when we niche down too small and too specific, that we're going to leave out so many people. And
Yeah.
it's the exact opposite. Because even now, like I have a specific niche, still other people that I'm not marketing to will come and ask like, hey, I noticed that you only work with service-based online entrepreneurs, and I have this type of business. Would you talk to me? And I'm like, of course I'll talk to you. Like, let's see if like this is a good fit or not. But people still come to you from those other areas, even though that's not like who you're laser line focused to. So I always I always giggle when I'm like, you can't, like, it's good to be specific, and you're still going to attract the people that have the same values as you and that you want to work with. And you're going to get a ton of them in your niche though, which is awesome. And you're not having a message to the masses.
Right. Yep. It is amazing how that works. I think that when people are just starting out too, it's hard they don't want to pick someone because they're afraid they're going to leave money on the table. They're afraid they're like not going to get any clients then, like, oh, well, but I could do everything, so that's a thing that it's important to kind of get over and wrap your head around. Just like you were saying, when you're speaking to a specific group, you're still going to attract other people, and they will still come to you and say, hey, can you help me? Like you said.
Yeah. And then you get the beautiful thing at that point is you get to choose because you're so specific in your messaging. And a lot of people might say like, I only work with women, and they might have a male approach them and they might say, no, I don't actually work with, like, I only work with this type of group, but here's somebody I can refer you to. Like, you can get super clear and specific in that way too, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you work with your clients and what does that process look like for you?
Okay. Yeah. So I work with people in two ways. I either do one-on-one design services, so with branding and websites, or just branding or just a website. Either way, I work one-on-one. And last year I started up a program where I teach people how to DIY their own brand and website. So that was a big shift in my business as well. That has been super fun. I kept having people approach me. So many people are starting online businesses now. And especially with what's going on right now, it's like huge. Like the more you can be online and run a business online, the better, right? And so everyone's starting up these online businesses, and they realize they want to have a brand, they want to have a website so that they can direct people to find them. Yeah. And so they were coming to me and asking for help and saying, oh, I would love to work with you, but I'm going to have to get a couple clients under my belt so that I can pay for it. And not just me as a designer developer, but also like a brand strategist and a copywriter and all these other things that people need to get these things going for their business. And then what would happen is they, of course, don't want to market themselves because they don't have anything to represent their business yet. So it was this cycle that I would see people in over and over again. And I realized, I was like, I can help these people. Like, I don't want to see anybody not have the job, their dream business going that they want to have because they're being held back. I don't want to see them have to put everything on hold while they're waiting to try to sort this out. So that's when I put my program together to help people learn to do that.
I love that you do that because you're so right. People don't want to start their business until they have a website, but they can't really do their website until they feel like they know what they're talking about. And it's like they go back and forth so often, and you don't need a website necessarily to start marketing your business, but so many people get held back because they feel like I have to have like that online business card and I have to do all these things before I can move forward. And it paralyzes so many people with moving forward with their business ideas because they want to have everything set up perfectly, right? Like they want to have all their T's crossed and their I's dotted and everything laid out perfectly. And it holds them back, and they procrastinate for so long that sometimes it's years and years later before they even start their business because they've put it on the shelf for so long. So I love that you have a program and a platform that can help people from getting stuck in that vicious cycle of not having one of the other things.
Right. And I realize, like, when people are trying to figure out how to do things on their own, there's so much information that you can find in the world that stops you as well. You get caught in this like learning mode, right? Where you're just doing tons and tons of research and you're so bombarded with information that you can't even make sense of it all. So I wanted to put it all into this formulaic system. So I really take people through things step by step to like at the very end of the program where you build the website, you have everything done. Everything's there to put into it. So you're not like, okay, I'm ready to build a website, but I don't know what to put on the page. You know, what am I going to do? Like, it's all been sorted out by the time you get there. It's a plug-in situation. So it's really great.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it is, because you're right. So many people are always learning. Like, we're lifetime learners, and we feel like we're downloading another opt-in and we're looking at this next thing. And before you know it, you have like 900 different opt-ins on your computer, and you're just as confused as you were when you started doing research on the topic. So you take some of that guesswork out by having it all laid out for them nicely. So
that's the goal,
right? So what do you feel is what makes you stand out from your competition out there?
I think that I'm unique in the sense that I approach everything with a starting point of strategy, and that I do both branding and websites makes me a little bit unique as well, because some people do one or the other. So I kind of have a holistic approach, I think, when it comes to creating these things. And also I've done a lot of work to make them, like I said, formula based, and so that there's just really, really easy instructions to follow to get everything done. So I think that's what makes me stand out. I know that I stand out against like a lot of old web developers, right? Because I'm not like just in a dark closet coding or anything like that, you know? So I'm different in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're the face of your brand. So, and you're teaching people how to brand before they even probably build their website. Like, you're finding out what they want to look like and what they want to be seen like, and what that experience is going to be like with your customers.
Right. And why you're going to do that. Like, you know, we start with understanding, you know, developing your positioning statement, really, which I call your big message. It's the message that goes at the very top of your website that's going to tell people immediately who you help and what you do and what makes you different and how you can help them solve their problem. And that speaks to them really directly so that they want to keep scrolling down the page. And then talking about your brand personality and deciding those adjectives that are going to describe your business. And once you have all that, then infusing that into every decision that you make, why you're choosing your colors, your typefaces, the shapes that represent your business, how all those things can communicate your personality of your brand, and then use it to build your whole business on.
Yeah. No, yeah. I love that you talk about that, because one of the things that I teach with my business is brand storytelling, and like sharing your unique life story as part of your brand, especially as we're building a lot of most of my clients are solopreneurs, or they have a small team that's typically virtual, but they're the face of their brand. And the one thing that I feel like you can really stand out with against like the competition and other people is because you're able to share your stories. Like, you've had specific life experiences that other people can relate to and feel like they can either mirror what you've shared, or they can see themselves in what you've shared. And that's always, I feel like, such an important piece when we're building our brand, is, you know, taking a piece of us into that with it, and not just making like a persona necessarily, but like it's you, like it's your brand, and you put those pieces into it.
Yeah. The more human, the better. And you're right. That's the connection point, really. When you can take your story and connect it in a way to the person that you're trying to help, then they understand, they know then that you understand the problem that they're having and that you can help them.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And you know, for me personally, it was kind of hard to find that point, because I don't struggle with creating a brand and website, because that's what I do. But I realized I did have the same problem. The problem was information overwhelm, right? And not niching down like we talked about in the beginning, and all of those early business things that all of us go through. So even though I didn't have the exact same maybe external struggle that the people I'm helping do, I did dig deep and find a connection point, because it's there for everybody.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the strategies that you've used for helping other people see that they're their brand and they can put their self forward in that way? What are like your top tips usually when somebody comes and they're struggling at making their brand unique to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Just to really like think things through, right? I think about the journey that you've been on. Think about the path all along the way. And I think really what was a big turning point for me specifically was when I got really clear on the deep desires of my dream audience. And that was done through really talking to my audience, you know, and recording messages and interviews, and then transcribing them, reading back through and finding the similarities, and then actually using the language that they use, you know?
Yeah, that's so important. I always, when I work with my clients on like their ideal client and their niche, it's all about like figuring out what you think they are thinking and like answering the questions, but then actually going and talking to actual people that are your ideal client, and then take that language that you learned during that conversation and use that in your messaging, use that in your marketing, because it's like gold, right? Because you have like their exact words from that conversation. So it's so important, I feel like, to have real conversations with ideal clients too, because sometimes a lot of people say, oh, I used to be my ideal client. So I already know what they think and what they're saying. And sometimes that's true to a degree, but when you actually start talking to people, I think it opens up your eyes to different conversations and different ways people look at things. And it just helps you grow your community so much quicker when you're able to speak their language and
Definitely.
pull them in through that way.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, I did that for a long time too. I didn't want to do that work. And that groundwork is so important. And I just, you know, everyone tells you, you know, how much work you have to do to find your ideal client. And the same, like just what you said, it's like, I know who they are. Like, it's fine. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Right. But there's no skipping that really, because if you do, your messaging will be off. And so you're going to have to go back anyway and do that. So it's like, you just have to do that foundational work.
Yeah. I so agree. And it's so funny because both of us did the same thing. And so many of our clients do the same thing, but it's hard work to figure out who our ideal client is. And I don't know what it is about that step, but so many people like to like graze over it. And
I know.
they really want to look at it and they're like, oh, I got this. We're totally fine. But it's like, we always go back to it. Right. And it's when we actually do the hard work and like, we really put our head down and think really hard about what that looks like and go out and talk to real people. It makes everything else so much easier, and it makes it just all come together so well.
Yeah.
So what strategy has worked best for you to attract your audience and to grow your business?
Really just putting myself out there. I recently, in November, I started a YouTube channel, and that has been amazing. Just to put myself out there in a way that I never have. I'm an introvert, and to be live on a camera is like scary, right? It's so scary, but that was a big turning point for me when I actually just started showing up no matter what, and just being in front of the camera.
Yeah. Visibility is hard for so many business owners because it feels scary, right? Like seeing yourself recording a video or going live and going, well, how do I can't erase what I say. Like, what if I say something or if I stumble over my words? So I love that.
But people want to see us, right? They want to know who they're working with.
Yeah.
And that's the fastest way to get to know someone, right? And to trust someone is by knowing them. I mean, we're not just a page on a website or something like that. People want to know who they're dealing with.
Yeah. And it gives you an opportunity to really get to know somebody and research them a little bit before you decide to invest with them without having to have too many actual conversations with them. Like, you can follow them for a little bit and like watch their YouTube videos or follow their posts, or if you're on their newsletter, you can engage and get to know like what types of content they create. Are they the right person for you? Like the stories they share, like those are all those connecting pieces that people are attracted to when it comes to your visibility. And if you're not being visible, like if you're like the designer, like you described earlier, who's like the old school creating websites from his dark closet room, like people aren't going to know that you even exist at this time and day and age. Like, people want to see your face. They want to see what you're talking about. They want to see what you look like and how you hold yourself. And like, if you're quirky and fun, or like what different personality traits you have. And that's what people want to connect with. They don't want to just go to a website and not feel like they ever know the person. They want to be able to see your personality shine too.
Right. No matter how good your work is, there's so many people doing wonderful things. There's so many choices today, that we are what makes us unique. And like you said, just no one knows you if you're not putting yourself out there. I used to say that all the time. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, well, no one knows I'm here. I have to start showing up, because otherwise nobody knows.
Yeah. And so many people like to hide behind their computer. Like they say, oh, I want to be an online entrepreneur and I'm going to do all these amazing things, but then they're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid to show up and let people know that they even have, their shingle hung, that you have to be visible. You have to show up. You have to do some networking. You have to show up in Facebook groups and be of service and make relationships and start building relationships. That's how people get to know you. And that's how you can start having strategic alliances, refer business to you. Or somebody go, oh, you know what? My aunt was just talking about wanting to start a website. I know exactly who you need to call. Like I've been following her for, a long time and she doesn't even know I exist, but she's perfect for you.
Yeah.
I always laugh because so often, so many people say like, oh, I'm creating content for my newsletter list and I'm making videos and doing all these things. And maybe they don't get a ton of likes or a ton of comments on it. But people are still watching. Like I'm amazed how many clients I've gotten that I had never spoken to, never noticed that they were following me or watching like my videos or my content that I was putting out. And, years later when they would come to me, they would be like, oh, I've been following you for a year or for 2 years. And I didn't even know what their name was. So I thought they were a brand new person. And they're like, no, I've been following for a while. And I'm like, it's so interesting to me, like how many people just kind of shadow what's going on and they're watching and they're paying attention, but they're not necessarily always engaging with us. Right. So I always tell my clients, like, keep showing up, keep creating those YouTube videos or writing to your newsletter because people are watching. Just because they're not saying anything doesn't mean that they're not there and they're paying attention.
That's true. Yeah.
And they might not be ready too. Like I know I follow people and I might not be ready to buy when I first start following them, but down the road, I might say, you know what, I'm actually ready to purchase and invest in this. And now I know who I'm going to. And they didn't even know that I was following them.
Right. And suddenly you're buying.
And they're like, where's it? It's like they come out of left field.
Where'd you come from?
Yeah. But that's like the best feeling I feel like too, because not everybody is super engaging when it comes to Facebook, right? Like so often people just scroll through their timeline and they're reading information. And, I try to be super conscious of that now and like try to like and comment more often because I've seen how that transpires just in my business. Like I didn't even know they were there. And so it's good to make engagement and to let people know you're there too. So it's like that balance of still showing up and still doing the work and you don't know who's listening always.
Right. And it's amazing too, the more that you're doing that, commenting and just in helpful ways, people are checking you out and following you, but then they're also passing your name along. When they see someone looking for someone who does that, they're like, oh, I came across this person.
Yeah.
They'll start sharing your name too. That's amazing.
Yeah. And that's when your business can really start to flourish and grow too. I feel like a lot is because you're getting like those secret referrals is kind of what I call them, like from places that maybe you weren't expecting them from, but people are they're noticing you. And that's what's important for your business is to be noticed, which is why it's so important to be visible.
Yeah.
So what do you wish that you would have known before you started your business? Like, is there anything that you think of now that you wish you would have known when you first started?
I wish that I started everything sooner. I always, every single little change that I make, I'm like, why didn't I start doing this sooner? Why didn't I take just action? I'm the kind of person, I've always been this way, that I want to learn absolutely everything and have it completely perfect and nailed down before I start doing anything with it. And then I do it and I'm like, I should have just jumped in, right? I should have just jumped in and made my imperfect mistakes and action taking and just learned from it and get going. I feel like that is something I am continually doing. And now that I've really started putting myself out there more, I'm trying to do that less. Just like just say, okay, I'm just gonna do it and learn as I go.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you bring up because I've done that many a times. Just even now in business, like my podcast was something that I thought of over a year ago that I wanted to start, and I just launched it recently. So it's not like there's things in us for whatever reason where we have to learn a new skill. Like you have to learn how to edit podcast videos and how to like do things with the audio and create an intro and an outro and all those things I hadn't done before. So I put it off. And now that I've done it, I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, it's so fun. I love what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a learning curve and I had to learn, some new things, but I shouldn't have let it hold me back for a whole entire year, because I could have been a year into my podcast at this point instead of it being a newer thing. But so many people are afraid to start. But as soon as you start taking like those baby steps and start taking action, that's when like the traction starts going, and then you can just start doing it. Like, don't hold yourself back.
Yeah. And you learn so much as you're moving along. Then the more you're talking to people, you're learning what they want specifically, and you can narrow down your services even better. That just makes people, I feel like, stop too, is because they're not exactly sure how they want to help people, what they want to do. And you learn as you go. Yeah. People tell you what they want you to help with, right?
Exactly.
As you're moving forward.
Yeah. And if you didn't start, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what you just needed, and you would be learning what that step was.
Exactly. You're just all in your head thinking, and maybe not making the right decision when it comes down to it. But because by being out there and getting the experience, you learn so much.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. What has been like the biggest obstacle in your business that you feel like you've had?
I feel like I blame kind of being out in the country for a long time as to maybe not having as many clients as I would want. And that was a big excuse for a long time until I started showing up online visibly. Like I was saying, that was the biggest thing that I did for my business, because like I said, I was just sitting here saying, no one's going to find me here unless I put myself out there. I have to put myself out there. So I would say that was the biggest challenge. I felt like was my location, but I mean, I'm online, I'm an online business. So I just had to start showing up online.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because you develop websites. So for online businesses, obviously every website doesn't have to be, like a lot of brick and mortars have websites too, but you're creating something that you don't have to actually physically be somewhere with. So I love that you brought that up. And so many people hold themselves back because they don't think that they can do it because of the location or where they live. But nowadays it's so easy to pretty much start any business from anywhere. And if you are online, you have people that have like the laptop lifestyle where they're traveling all over the world, and they're, all they need is their laptop, they say. And that's true to a degree, because like I can run my business from anywhere. I could be at home on my computer. I could be at a local co-working space. I could be at a coffee shop. I could go across the world if I wanted to. But we tell ourselves like those stories, right? That we can't do something because, I live out here in the boondocks or in the country, and you feel like there's nobody that would buy from you directly. But when you open it up to the online world, there's so many people that are paying attention and watching what you're doing, and you can reach the masses.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've had only like 2 local clients to me, and everybody else has been not near me. So that was just a stopping point. Like you're saying, I think just we come up with excuses, right? To hold ourselves back. And once we can just push through those, then things can happen.
It's so funny how we tell ourselves like these excuses, and we tell the stories and we do all these things. And then once we start doing it, we look back and we're like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, this is totally fine. It's okay to put myself out there. It's okay to keep showing up. It doesn't have to look like what we envisioned in our head, and it can change as we're going too. Yeah. So what do you feel like defines success for you and for your business?
I find success by watching my clients succeed. When I see their businesses really like that, their idea, their come to life through their getting their brand and website done and up and running, watching their vision become reality like that, to me is the most amazing thing that I can feel. And that's why I do what I do, because I love it so much. That really makes me feel like successful when I've done a good job and their business is now up and running and they're happy.
Yeah, no, it's so nice to see our clients make the progress and put themselves out there and start their businesses, especially because you're like we were saying earlier, so many people don't feel like they have a legitimate business until they have that website built. So
Right.
like they can hang that on the world, and they have a place they can send clients to, which is always a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
I love that you feel such a part of that journey with your clients.
Yeah, I do. I love to see the transformation. It's like the the makeover part of the movie, that when someone's getting like some transformation and makeover. I always have loved that idea, and I love it in my clients too, just seeing that change take place and something become like a visual, like just an idea that becomes a visual. So cool.
Yeah, no, and that it is cool because especially with websites, like people build, like there's a lot of websites out there that aren't that pretty, that they don't do a whole lot. Like when you get there, they don't convert, they don't have people that are signing up. But when you can have a beautiful website and a place that you're proud of, that you can send people to, it's such a beautiful moment, because you're like, I have a place, like I feel like I can hang my shingle and I have a legitimate business, and people are going to be able to see me as a business because they can Google me now. They can find me no matter where they're living at and what they're doing. They can find this location.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's coming up next for you with your business? Do you have any big things coming up or anything like that you'd like to share with us?
I do. So in my program, I teach people how to build their website using WordPress. And so in the program, you could take all of the brand strategy and the brand foundation, developing your logo, the copywriting, all of that, and take it and apply it on any platform, right? I specifically teach WordPress in the program, but you can take it anywhere and use it. But what I really want to do is develop a website builder, so that at that point in my program, people could, if they don't want to build it themselves, they could take all that information and hire someone to finish it for them. They could take it and implement it on any platform that they want on their own, or they could purchase my website builder and then go into it that way. And that would be kind of like, I guess it would be on WordPress, but it's kind of functions like Showit or Squarespace, or one of those where you pay a monthly for someone else to maintain it. Yeah. And you just kind of use a theme. So I'm wrapping my head around developing a builder like that.
That's amazing. That's exciting. And it'll help so many people, because those are the things that get people stuck. And you're able to have a resource to be like, okay, well, if you're not ready for me to design it for you, now here's a way that you could do it at your pace and at your speed, which I love.
Right. That's exactly it. I just don't want someone to have any reason why they can't do it. I want them to be able to finish and get their business going. Because I don't want them to be stuck like so many of us feel, that we're like not going to keep going because I'm going to sit here and just keep taking information in rather than taking action. So I want to be able to be a solution for people to get through that.
Yes. So if you're sitting there and you're not sure what to do next, then you need to go to Alli and make sure that you can get this set up and start doing the work now, and don't procrastinate. Don't wait. Stop learning from everybody else and go directly to the source. I love that.
Get it done.
Yeah. So before we start to wrap things up, I have a couple like rapid fire questions for you that I love to ask all of my guests. So I'm curious, do you have a morning routine? And if so, what does that look like for you?
Oh, it's very loose and changing now that the kids are home while I'm working, for sure. But I get up and I have a cup of coffee and I look through my news feeds and hang out with the kids and then get them ready for school. So it's real loose.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I know everybody's like, some people are like super diligent and have like, I meditate for an hour and I read this book and I journal. I do what I call slow mornings, where I like to get up and do like you do, like have a cup of coffee at least 15 minutes before my kids come down. And sometimes that includes journaling or a little bit of exercise or stretching. But yeah, as moms, sometimes that routine goes completely out the window, because if the kids wake me up or if they come downstairs seconds after I have, like, you just have to start going with the morning. So I totally understand how that is.
Yep. That's exactly it. Go with the flow.
Yeah. Especially as moms, like it's never a dull moment.
No.
Who would you say is made the biggest impact on your life? Is there any influencer or person in your life that's impacted you greatly?
Wow. That's a great question. I mean, more than anyone, it's probably been my family. They're, set everything for me, kind of my foundation. I have an older sister, and she kind of led me through life and taught me as I went along. And my mom and dad, they are still my go-to when I need any kind of like feedback or support. So I guess I would say them as a main source of inspiration. Yeah.
I love that you said that. That's so awesome. So many times it's like, big on influencers or different people like that. But I think you're right. Like our family is like such an important connecting point for us. And so we have to remember that sometimes.
Yeah.
But they've influenced so many decisions and so many things that we've done. So like I know my mom was one of my biggest influencers as well. And like just those life lessons that she taught were huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is your favorite way to recharge? Like, do you have a happy place or thing that you like to do?
Yoga.
Yoga.
I love yoga. Yeah. And every time I practice, it feels good. I feel better. I feel calmer, slowed down, reconnected. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the outdoors. I also really can get the same feel by just a simple walk outside, just the fresh air. I can be recharged by that. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are good ones. Those are mine too.
Yeah.
If I could give you an airline ticket anywhere in the world, where would you travel to?
Wow. I think right now my top destination would be Australia.
Australia?
Yeah, I haven't been. That's why it's one of the places that's on my list of wanting to go there.
What's something about Australia that makes you want to go visit?
I have no idea why. Just because, just because it's so opposite of where we live now. So I mean, just to see it, and it's just one of the places I haven't been yet. So it's on my list.
That's awesome. I always think of going there like on a Christmas winter break one of these years.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, they're in summer when we're in winter. So I'm like, it'd be perfect to go and like explore, and then you'd get like 2 summers.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. That, and I might be a little bit obsessed with like kangaroos and koala bears, and that would be super fun to see in person.
It would be cool.
And how can people connect with you if they want to follow you and hang out with you? Where do you like to hang out?
I am very active on Instagram and Facebook. Both are at Do Well Websites.
Okay, awesome.
And then I have my YouTube channel too, which is you can find at dowellwebsites.com/YouTube. And I post there once a week. So that's a lot of fun over there.
I will make sure we drop those links below as well, so everybody can follow you and find you easily on whatever platform they like to hang out at as well. So awesome. Alli, it's been so fun having you on today. It's been so great talking to you.
Thank you. It was really fun for me too.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your day, and we will talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.